Dakota for this afternoon's historic ceremony. It is my great honor to be a part of this special occasion. I am Major Matt Voller, Executive Officer of the 68th Troop Command, and I'll be the Master of Ceremonies. Today we gather for a welcome home ceremony honoring members of the 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Artillery Regiment, the most deployed unit in the North Dakota National Guard. As you all know, they recently returned from a 14-month deployment to the National Capital Region in support of Operation Noble Eagle, a mission that started before some of these soldiers were born. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party. Please be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce today's official party. The Honorable Doug Burgum, Governor of the great state of North Dakota and Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard. The Honorable John Hoeven, United States Senator. The Honorable Kevin Kramer, United States Senator. Major General Al Dorman, the Adjutant General of the North Dakota National Guard. Command Sergeant Major Eric Binstock, Senior Enlisted Leader of the North Dakota National Guard. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we conduct the national anthem, I would like to explain that it is customary that we stand for the playing of the national anthem. When you hear the first note of the national anthem, soldiers will stand at attention, while all others stand with their right hand placed over their hearts. Veterans who are present and not in uniform may render the military salute. Today's national anthem will be played by members of the North Dakota Army National Guard's own 188th Army Band. Please rise and direct your attention to the American flag placed prominently at the front of the stage. Immediately following the national anthem, Chaplain Justin Fenger will provide the invocation.
I'm going to share something with you that I picked up on deployment. A little daily practice, I like to call it. It's called TRIP. I didn't make it up, I stole it from somebody else. It's an acronym. I know how you guys like acronyms, so here it is. T is for Thanksgiving or gratitude. R is for regret or maybe things that you wish were different. I is for intercession. I know that's a big word for you all, but it's where you want God to show up in your life. And the last is P, or promise. Where can I lean into a promise? I lean on God, and I lean into His promises. So here we go. What am I thankful for? Where do I need to show gratitude? For friends, for battle buddies, A shout out to the children's program that did an awesome job during this yellow ribbon event. And so for new friends, and for greeting old ones, for spouses and significant others, for family that have been through a lot to hold down the fort, to hold down the home that we come home to, for the connections that made it work. Regret. We missed being there for special moments, for a birth of a child. Regret we weren't there when things got hard, for a death of a loved one. Intercession. And so God, we ask that you heal, that you allow us to forgive, that you continue to move and shake us, to turn us around, to go forward, to renew us with courage and strength. And so promise. A friend of mine recently told me, leaning into those connections, when I was going through a difficult day, wherever I go, there I am. Which I don't really know if that was a word of hope or a word that was meant to scare me and jar me to be awake. But here's the promise. God says to us, take heart. Don't quit. Keep going. I'll be there waiting when you arrive. I will follow. I will pursue you. And I will lead you. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please take your seats. I'd like to welcome additional guests in our audience today. Brigadier General Jonathan Erickson, Army Component Commander. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Rob Dorneman, State Command Chief Warrant Officer. President Andrew Armacost, President of the University of North Dakota. Mrs. Kimberly Strom, the 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Artillery, Honorary Commander. The 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Artillery Soldier and Family Readiness Group. Members of the Patriot Guard and other motorcycle organizations. Volunteers of the Employer Support for the Guard and Reserve. Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, and Fargo Chambers of Commerce. Grand Forks County Commissioners. The Grand Forks Military Affairs Representatives. We'd also like to recognize senior leadership of the North Dakota National Guard, fellow soldiers, and airmen, veterans, families, employers, and friends. Thank you all for attending today's special event. This afternoon's Welcome Home ceremony is intended to formally recognize the soldiers of the 1st Battalion of the 188th Air Defense Artillery Regiment for their accomplishments during the deployment. Additionally, we will acknowledge the families, friends, communities, employers, and the universities of these great soldiers that supported them during their recent military duty. Our first speaker today is our Commander-in-Chief and the Governor of the great state of North Dakota, Governor Doug Burgum. Please welcome him to the podium.
Good afternoon. Great to be here with you. I just wanted to share, I hope all of you can hear okay, the way the PA system is with the reverb. If you're sitting right there, they can't hear a word I'm saying, so this is great. I can say whatever I want to about my colleagues and they won't be able to hear it. And I just want to give everybody advance notice when General Dorman is making jokes and then the senators and I aren't laughing, it's not just because they're not funny, it's because we can't hear them, okay? That's the... They heard part of that, okay. Well, hey, it's a beautiful day in North Dakota, beautiful day to be here with all of you and on this beautiful campus. And I'm struck, of course, it's a homecoming for all of you, but I haven't been in this building for a while and I was having a couple of memory flashbacks. You can imagine in 1960 1974, when I was in high school, this was the largest building on the University of North Dakota campus, and there was a huge indoor track meet in here, and as you can imagine, this building's not 120 yards long. I was in the high hurdle event, and all I'll remember about it is that we would run into that wall back there as soon as we got over the last hurdle, because the finish line tape was about 5 yards from the wall. I can see the same track is still here today as back then. I also had another memory too, and I think the acoustics were about the same then, but in 1973 I was up here with my high school girlfriend, and Three Dog Night performed in this building. Anybody else at that concert? There's one hand back up there. Okay, were you part of the crowd that almost got crushed out here trying to come in the doors immediately? I mean, for the younger people here, I should just say Three Dog Night actually, it's a band. It's not like a thing with dogs and night, but anyway, it was some good memories from here in the Hislop Center, and we're making another memory today to celebrate the great welcome home from the 188th. And again, a lot of reasons to celebrate this unit, but one of them, of course, is you've got the record of being the most deployed unit, so the most storied unit in the best National Guard in the nation, but this is the 12th deployment for this unit since 2004. Give yourselves a hand for that. Truly remarkable. And of course, it seems like just not that long ago, it was last summer over at the Alara Center. We were there with you and your families on the send-off, and that was a great day also, but always more fun to be welcoming people back home again. And I know that while you're gone and you're serving the country and doing all the things there was families at home that were taking care of kids and keeping things running, and even with the advent of technology and only a 1-hour time zone change, there still is the sacrifices of missing each other and missing birthdays, missing anniversaries, trick-or-treating, Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas gift openings, and other major life milestones. And so at this point, again, we want to share our gratitude with, of course, today we're here to honor all the soldiers that serve, but at this point, we'd like, if we could, if there's family members here, children, aunts, uncles, parents that were minding the home front when they're gone, could we have those families stand up and let's give them a big hand. Families, please stand. Thank you, families, for all you do. And of course, we also know when we give thanks on a day like today, we've got to thank those great North Dakota Guard employers that support all of you in the work that they do. And of course, we've got a lot of employers that support the National Guard in North Dakota and the Air Guard in North Dakota across our state. And we've also got such great veteran service organizations that help support people when they're here. But let's give them a round of applause too. Thank you to both of them. North Dakota National Guard is one of the great high-performing organizations in our state, and we know yet again across all aspects of the Army Guard and Air Guard that we're just top-notch. I mean, I had an opportunity, I was down with the Happy Hooligans this week, and they're going to be announcing soon that out of 40 units in the country that operate Reapers, they've won out of 40, beating all the regular Air Force, all Air Force Reserve, North Dakota National Air Guard, #1 unit in the country. So when the senators and the general and myself are up here talking about how that you're the best in the country, we just keep getting proof over and over and over again that you are. So thank you for being #1. Give yourselves a hand. Great work down in DC. And great organizations require great leadership, and I just want to thank, I've had the privilege of now working these past 5.5 years so closely with General Dorman and his leadership team, but I want to thank all of them for the work that they do. The leadership team, your leaders that were with you in DC, you are ready, you're prepared. we're always outperforming other states and other Guard units, but it starts at the top. So thank you, General Dorman and your team, for all you do. Major Dinscott. And of course, we need support every day. We're fighting on the front lines, but on the front lines in Washington, D.C., we're so fortunate in our state that we have absolutely the best congressional delegation in the country out of any of the 50 states when it comes to supporting the military. We got Senator Hoeven, who's on Defense Appropriations and Military Construction, Veteran Affairs Committees, Senator Kramer on the Senator Armed Service Committee and the Veterans Affairs Committee, Congressman Armstrong is a member of the House Air Force Caucus and the House National Guard and Reserve Caucus. And I know that not only do they fight for you every day down in Washington, D.C., every time I come to these events, these guys are traveling back and forth, and they're also, unfortunately, I'm sure, feeling like they get deployed to D.C. Because these guys are flying back and forth 50 or more times a year. But when they're back in the state and they come home for a weekend, then they're also away from their families, coming and doing events like this. And I talk to other governors around the nation, and they never see a senator at a National Guard event. We've always got our congressional delegation here, and they're here because they care, and they care about you, and they care about their families, and they care about our country. And so let's give it up for Senator Craver. Senator Hoeven, thanks for being here today. And as we welcome all of you home, we also need to take a moment today and can't forget that we've got North Dakota National Guard team members that continue to be deployed, and they're active both at home on domestic assignments and overseas. We have about 275 guardsmen who are either mobilized right now or scheduled for mobilization. We had another send-off earlier this week, but this includes those that are on an important mission down at the southwest border. We've also just sent some MPs off who are deploying to the Middle East this fall, but we keep them all in our thoughts and prayers, and we all can do our part to support their families here at home. And since 9/11, we just had the anniversary of that just a little over a week ago, the 21st anniversary. The National Guard in our country has evolved from a strategic reserve to a true operational force. 24/7 missions around the world and here at home, and our North Dakota National Guard has continued to answer the call to safeguard the nation's capital region, the work that you were just doing. And when we were marking that anniversary of the global war on terror, 9/11, we were together in Bismarck, and we, at the great memorial there, we recognized the 29 service members from North Dakota who've given it all, the ultimate sacrifice, given their life on the global war of terror, including 14 members of the North Dakota National Guard. And we do owe it to them to never forget their ultimate sacrifice for the courage and the price that they paid for their freedom. So when we take a moment on a day like today, we're extra grateful that each of you came home safely. And the same time goes for all of the veterans, because whenever we're doing work, we're standing on the shoulders of those veterans that fought before us. So I would like to take a minute. I know that many of you have come from military families, and so you may have fathers, uncles, grandfathers that served in the military, but if we could just have all the veterans that are here today, please stand and let us say thank you to you. Veterans, please stand. Well, North Dakota National Guard always lives up to its motto, always ready, always there. Whether it's floods in Grand Forks 24 years ago, or it's saving the town of Medora last year with the Blackhawks from wildfires, truly, truly always living up to the motto, and know that you delivered that in a great way for our capital region. And TR, who is the president most closely associated with North Dakota, and to whom we're undertaking the enormous and exciting task of building a presidential library in his honor next to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park in the western part of the state. He always said, walk softly and carry a big stick. And what he really meant by that is that our country, when we're strong, when the United States is strong, there's peace in the world. Peace through strength is real. And we need to be strong in our energy policies, and we need to be strong in our military policies to help keep the world stable and free. You're fighting for that every day. The fight for freedom never ends. We're grateful for your safe return, and God bless you and your families. God bless the great state of North Dakota, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are very fortunate for your continual support. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator John Hoeven.
Well, welcome home. Welcome home to the 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Artillery Regiment. First to fire! Oh, good. Okay, that does work. All right. I got to tell you, sitting back there, you can't understand anything the speaker is saying. So I don't know exactly how the sound system works. So can you all understand pretty well what we're saying up there, or are we just faking it on the governor's jokes? Which is it now? President Armacost, I see you back there. Thanks for being here. See him back there in his Kelly green. He's like just hanging out to be just like one of the people, but we know you're there. Thanks for your great work on behalf of the university. To all you guys, great men and women in uniform, great job. You're the best. I tell you, we saw you in May. Kevin and I saw you in May at the reception, and it was a lot. Was that fun? Because we sure had a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed it. But it was good to see you then. It's a lot better to see you now that you're back home here with your families. And of course, we're here today to say, job well done. Job well done. So it's great to be here with the governor and with Senator Kramer, of course, with the adjutant general and the command sergeant major. Oh, by the way, he told me we were going up the men's room there earlier, and he goes, he knows his way around the arena here. I go, well, that's amazing. And he said, yeah, I went to UND for 1 year. And I thought, wow, a guy that can graduate from UND in 1 year? That's a smart guy. Takes most people 4, Command Sergeant Major, so kudos to you. Took me about 8. Took Senator Kramer about 8. He was on the beer plan, you know, it's a little, no, I'm kidding. He doesn't know what I'm saying. I swear, you can't understand anything. Okay, will you guys let out a big cheer for the 188th Army Band? Are they fantastic or what? I love them. I love them. Al Hurt and the Tijuana Brass, none of those guys are as good as you guys. You're the best brass quintet or sextet or whatever you are. Anyway. 225 strong. 225 strong, the first of the 188th ADA. I've seen you guys perform here at home. When we've had disasters, you jumped into the breach. Obviously at our nation's capital multiple times. They're probably calling already to get you back. It seems like the one thing they know for sure is if the first of the 188th is in town, the nation's capital is secure. So they seem to want to have you doing that duty all the time. But I've seen you in Afghanistan as well. And you do an incredible job. And when I say you, I mean you and your families. Thought the chaplain really hit the right note when he said, you know, you're out there on the front lines getting the job done. And it's tough being away from home. And then on the home front, you know, your spouse, your family, mom, dad, the whole family's taking care of everything else. So they're serving right along with you. And I don't know, 10 deployments over the last 20 years in this global war and terror. And you keep stepping up and you keep doing the job. And it shows how important you are. It shows how important you are now. What you do as our National Guard. North Dakota National Guard, you know, I say it every time, you are absolutely the best. You lead the way for all 50 states. But your role is so important now in so many ways, here at home and abroad in this war on terror. And we can never take that for granted, guys. Think about it. You're the most professional soldiers in the world. You're the most professional soldiers in the world. Your skill set, all volunteer, working together as a cohesive unit, the best training, the best equipment, and you are combat battle tested now for 20 years in the war on terror. There's no military force on earth that comes even close to all of you. What you do is important. We can never take your service and your sacrifice for granted, and that's why it's so important we're here to say thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Your commitment to our soldiers is absolutely second to none. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Kevin Kramer.
I'm so glad that General Dorman can hear who's being introduced, so we all know when to get up here. It's really cool to see you all here in your environment rather than out there in ours. But it's mostly just great to see you and your families all together. So welcome home and thank you to the 188th. You know, as I was thinking about your mission, and by the way, for family members, employers, other folks that aren't members of the 188th, this mission, Operation Noble Eagle, is in and of itself really quite remarkable. Of course, a result of 9/11. But one of the things I was thinking about was that you all should know, those of you who aren't members of 188th, that if it were up to the capital region, the folks that are full-time protectors of the National Capital Region, if it were up to the folks, the leadership at Fort Belvoir and others in charge of overseeing Operation Noble Eagle, you'd be there full-time. I mean, I have talked to so many people involved in Operation Noble Eagle that say, again, John and the governor, me, we love to brag about having the best National Guard in the country by far, but it's really cool when people who don't have to say that to us and validate what we already intuitively know. You really are the best. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to visit when they're out there, this one, for example, this most recent mission, when I went out, each time that I've gone out to Fort Belvoir, I get to see a little different piece of it. I have to say, while it's really cool to see the Central Command and to sit through a drill and imagine an aircraft coming into the region that's not quite right or not quite on the right path, and know that some really smart member of the Guard is communicating with all the right people to make sure they get on their course, that's all cool. Going through the maintenance shop might have been the highlight for me. To think that all of that equipment has to be maintained basically perfectly all the time, lest something should happen. And to think that there are engineers and that there are mechanics and that there are communications operators, obviously experts in their field, that are keeping everything running and going so well. The other piece, and by the way, it's also sort of amazing this last year to go out there and see the Stingers. You know, we see those Stingers a fair bit, but they take on a whole new meaning today when we hear about the high demand for those weapons systems in Ukraine. And you get to see just what they look like, touch them, hold them. Just for a very short time under a lot of supervision. Hold them. The whole thing is remarkable, you guys. And for John and me in particular, I think, knowing that we have a security detail of 200 members of North Dakota National Guard taking care of the skies, we sleep better when you're there. We'd love to have you there all the time too. Hopefully, though, the family members, I hope some of you were able to visit, I know several of you were, and that you were able to at least take advantage of the fact that you had a loved one in the capital region and visit at a time when, frankly, not a lot of other people were visiting, and be able to see the great institutions that are targets for a lot of ridicule these days. But every now and then it's nice to get out there and see those monuments, see those buildings that our soldiers are protecting from the skies, from attacks from the skies, and to see the exceptionalism of America with its spectacular art and architecture of our Capitol building, our White House, our Supreme Court, the Naval Observatory, the other institutions, that the Temple of Freedom that John and I have the honor of working in every day is safe from an attack from the sky because you were there and because you're so darn good at your jobs. So all I can say is, as always, thank you is not adequate enough, but it's all we can do. Thank you not only to the soldiers, but to the families, perhaps especially to the families, and to the employers. We don't want to ever take you for granted, and don't. And if we forget to say thank you, forgive us for not saying it often enough. With regard to y'all, is there an F trigger on that trombone? Okay, maybe later. I'm a lot safer holding a bass trombone than I am a Stinger missile, let me just tell you. But you shouldn't trust me with that either. But Major Rorick, Chief Sergeant Master Garrett, thank you for your service to your families. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your hospitality to me when I was there. You treated me with great respect. The opportunity to participate in the promotion of Sergeant Iverson, that was very special as well. We do a lot of goofy things in our job, but now and then we get to do something really cool, and you've given us that opportunity. But more importantly than anything, for that 14 months or so that you were protecting the skies over the capital region, we just turned out fine. We walked around doing our business, not ever thinking about the potential for an attack or those that were making sure it couldn't happen. But today we're saying thank you as we say welcome home. And if we can ever be of assistance, know that John and I always have your back, as the governor mentioned with regard to our respective duties in Washington. But know that if there's anything else in between all of that, whatever the issue is, you can pick up the phone and call us. We treasure this relationship. It's why we're here. It's why we would be nowhere else. The governor is so fantastic at expressing gratitude and reminding us all to be thankful. Governor, if I were to think of all of the important things that you do, and there are lots of them, I'm going to look this way a little bit so he can actually hear it. If anyone says, what is your ministry? Tell them your ministry is reminding us to be grateful. Because I feel blessed by his constant reminder that we need to be more grateful. But he's also very gracious in expressing his appreciation and sort of bragging up his congressional delegation. You need to understand that this is not a sacrifice for us. This is where we want to be. This is where we'd rather be than anywhere else on this Sunday afternoon in September, is being here to see you and to thank you and to thank your families, to thank your employers. And just know that we have your backs, but probably not to the greatest extent that you have had ours. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Your dedication to the success of the North Dakota National Guard is greatly appreciated. Next, I would like to introduce our Adjutant General, Major General Al Dorman.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. What a great day, what a great turnout. Great to be back on the campus of the University of North Dakota. And I know from sitting up here I couldn't understand a word the gentleman said before me. So you may find me turn once in a while, because if you turn your head this way, you can be understood. So I may do that once in a while. I know it'll be a little distracting, but just, I know it makes them nervous when I speak in public and they can't actually hear what I say. So I'll try to help them out wherever I can. But I see President Armacost in the back there. I'm a proud alumni of University of North Dakota, the best university in the state of North Dakota. I said it's great to be on the campus of UND. And there's also NDSU, which was my safety school. But I decided against my original major in animal husbandry, so I decided to go to UND. I just recognize NDSU is also a great research university. So it's great to be with you all today, and what a great day. Hey, everybody in the front row, I need non-disclosure agreements from you before you get back in the car with your principals. But it's great to be with you today. It is great to be on the podium with all these gentlemen. It's already been mentioned, this doesn't happen everywhere. Where if these gentlemen can find the time anyway to be here, to send you guys off, to welcome you home, they are always here. And it's more than that. They are fighting for you every day with our state legislature, with our federal legislature. We could not ask for a better commander-in-chief, and we have the best congressional delegation in the nation. I'll explain that to them, and then I would ask you all to give them a round of applause. I said I do most of this on my own, but you guys help on occasion. Let's give them a hand. All right, that's enough. Okay. Hey, just welcome home. I taught you a little bit earlier. I promise I wouldn't go long since you got to hear me twice in one day, and nobody should have to go through that. But what a job the 1st of the 188th did in the National Capital Region. I shared with you earlier, and we got 2 former commanders over here of previous rotations at the National Capital Region, but we didn't get this mission until 2013. I don't know what they're thinking. A bunch of farm boys and girls from North Dakota couldn't handle the pressure in D.C., but anybody that's deployed with the farm boys and girls from North Dakota, probably proud graduates of NDSU, know how incredibly dedicated and professional the North Dakota National Guard in the 1st of the 188th sets the example for the entire Guard. I think it's already been mentioned. Again, I didn't hear anything said by the previous speakers, but most deployed unit, both in number of deployments and soldiers deployed. And you were doing the most important mission. You're defending the homeland. And it's not against some threat that maybe could happen. It's against a threat that has already happened. And you guys have to be at the tip of the spear ready to go, and you absolutely were. You did a phenomenal job. So thank you for your service. For the families, the unsung heroes, I can't thank you enough. I hope you got the support you needed while you were deployed, but now that you're back home, if you need anything, we are still here for you. I've been through a couple reintegrations myself. I've always screwed something up as a soldier. Everything I screwed up the first time, I didn't screw up the second time, but I found like 10 or 15 new things to screw up. So be patient with one another. Soldiers, make sure you are grateful for the support your family gave you. And make sure you show them in a tangible way how much you appreciate what they do that allows you to serve every day. Our employers, our veteran service officers, thank you. For our community, our honorary commanders up here, Kim made me promise we would get you home by the end of July. And you weren't supposed to come home till early September. But just for Kim, no, I didn't do a darn thing. But we got you home in time. I can't remember why, some boyfriend-girlfriend thing or something. But anyway, thank you, Kim, and for the community. There is something special about Grand Forks. And when we sent off the MPs last week, that was a unit mixed of Grand Forks and Fargo. And I doted on Fargo then, but I'm going to go dote on Grand Forks. This community supports its National Guard. And it does it in a lot of different ways. But an example today, we got here early. because we had a lot of UND alumni in the van I was in. So we took a campus tour. President, your campus looks fabulous. Took a campus tour, and then it's time to go to lunch. So where do you go to lunch when you're in Grand Forks and you're a UND graduate? The Red Pepper. And do you go to the new one or the old one? You go to the old one. So that's where we went. And a sign of this community support is we walked in there and there was probably 8 or 9 of us. And there was a couple ahead of us and they said, thank goodness we got here before you. And I thought, well, is that because they didn't want to wait in line? But then when I got up to place my order, the clerk said, he left us $60, he wants to pay for all your food. That's Grand Forks. Yeah, give him a hand, yeah. I'm old, I could be on a fixed income soon, so every little bit helps. But we also found out, and those that are UND graduates will know this, that we probably had one spy in our group, because I won't name names, but when we're talking about what to order, this person said, I think I'll get a burrito. So if you've been to Red Pepper, you know that's impossible. Okay, well, maybe there's not as many UND people here as I thought. Anyway, but hey, for the soldiers, again, job well done. I've been telling those that deploy recently to come back better than you left. There are tangible signs that the 1st to 188th individually and as a unit came back better than they left. 80 soldiers went to school. 16 of those 80 were either honor graduates or commandant's list. 4 soldiers got to air assault school. 3 inspections were passed. And again, these are, no kidding, everything's got to be right inspections. And you passed 3 of those while you were there. 4,000 hours of volunteer work. Nobody says you got to do that when you're deployed. But this organization, the 1st 188, did 4,000 hours of volunteer work around the DC area. You took time when an honor flight came to town to greet those veterans when they came off the plane. And you do have one new sensation within the organization. You started out as a local sensation, now a national sensation, soon to be an international sensation. The oldest member ever of the, how do you pronounce it? Wahpeton College of Science? The school in Wahpeton. I said something nice about NDSU again. The school in Wahpeton, Sergeant Ray Rochelle, who's been in the local media, international news, was on Fox and Friends this morning, and I'm sure Reuters will pick it up soon. But the 49-year-old freshman nose tackle for the Wahpeton College of Science, I get that close? Okay, thank you. We're going to have you, give me your name. I'm going to have you speak next time, because that, and you're very short, and I'm not. So I didn't mean height-wise. I mean, you were brief in your comments, which everybody appreciates. I get told that over and over again. But anyway, just an incredible record, but it speaks to the quality of our soldiers. Just what's the next challenge, what's the next opportunity. Nobody's going to tell me I can't do something, but Sergeant Rochelle, congratulations. He assured me he's gotten tackles already this year, so thank you for stepping up. And finally, I need you all to tell your story. We're in challenging times right now. The 1st of the 188th is moving up to Williston. We got to fill that unit. We got to keep this unit filled. We need you guys ready to go the next time our country calls or our state calls. And you guys know more than anybody that they will call again. But we got to tell our story, make sure young folks know the opportunities available to them in the National Guard, and get them in our ranks. It's my honor to serve with you. First to fire. That's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate your incredible leadership. At this time, we welcome our senior enlisted leader, Sergeant Major Eric Binstock.
Good afternoon, Air Defenders. All right, that's good. It's great to be in Grand Forks. Welcome and thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this welcome home ceremony. Governor Burgum, Senators Hoban, Kramer, General Dorman, distinguished guests, soldiers, families, and friends. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you to everybody in attendance. Your support is great for the success of our organization. We cannot do this alone. Families, friends, employers, fellow soldiers, it's your support and encouragement that keeps the North Dakota National Guard strong. The North Dakota National Guard is recognized everywhere we go for outstanding work ethic, professionalism, and the ability to accomplish any mission regardless of the environment we find ourselves in. I often repeat myself, but I can't say it enough. We've been deploying soldiers and airmen throughout the United States and around the world for quite some time now, and we always have the same result, nothing but success. That North Dakota patch that you wear on your left shoulder, that is recognized in so many operational theaters. Major Rorick, Command Sergeant Major Garrett, thank you for your leadership. So I just want to challenge everybody here today, that's wearing a uniform, of course. I want to challenge you to use this experience and knowledge that you have gained from this deployment and share it with other soldiers to make this great organization even better. Your continued service is critical as we look to remain relevant and in high demand by our communities, state, and our nation. As you share your experience of your service, remember, you are the best of the best. Tell your story. We need to do a better job of telling our story. There are so many amazing things accomplished by our soldiers every day, and they always say the same thing: I'm just doing my job. It is important to remain humble, but you have a breathtaking story to tell. As I reflect on the amazing story that you all possess, it makes me think of a comment that I often hear General Dorman talk about. And that comment is, winning teams never go out of style. The same chemistry that make up UND hockey, NDSU football, it also makes up the North Dakota National Guard, and that's what makes us great. So I challenge each and every one of you to find one person that you think would be a great member of our team. And I want you to provide that name to a recruiter. I know there are 2 soldiers that are being honored here today that will greatly appreciate this challenge. And that is Staff Sergeant Cody Mauk and Staff Sergeant Matthew Cobb. And I know Staff Sergeant Mauk is currently gone. He's attending training for his upcoming recruiting mission. But Staff Sergeant Cobb is here today. Please stand. All right. Give him a hand. So I greatly appreciate you stepping up to the challenge, and I wish you the most of luck on your great endeavor. So with that, I'm so proud of our soldiers and airmen. Every day they do such an amazing job, and it is my greatest honor to serve alongside all of you. So thank you for your service. In closing, I want to say thanks again to all the soldiers for a job well done, and the families for their commitment and support. Welcome home, and God bless.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. At this time, I would like to invite Miss Mary Christie, representing Congressman Armstrong, to share a few words.
Good afternoon. I promise to keep this short because it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and Lord knows how many more of those we're going to get in North Dakota. But good afternoon. My name is Mary Christie, State Director for Congressman Kelly Armstrong, who sends his regrets he is unable to be with you and your families as you gather to celebrate your return home from your most recent 14-month deployment. I'm honored to be here on his behalf and wish to express his deepest appreciation and gratitude for the 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Regiment's service to our country in keeping our nation's capital safe. You'll often hear Kelly say that a police officer never knows if a traffic stop will be routine until it's over. The same can be said for deployments, and I can only imagine the amount of prayers for a routine deployment that were sent your way since last summer. I know I'm not alone when I say, welcome home. The strength of the North Dakota National Guard lies with you, our dedicated service members who defend our communities, our state, our country. The strong leadership and teamwork skills used in Operation Noble Eagle will serve both you and our communities well and reach far beyond this mission. To the family and friends here today, thank you. Thank you for supporting your loved ones before, during, and after their deployment ended. Your love and prayers, care packages, phone calls, visits, letters, and more played a significant role in your soldier being able to focus on their mission and ability to return home safe and sound. It is with the highest regard for you, our soldiers, that Congressman Armstrong thanks you for your service and commitment to our nation. God bless.
As our ceremony continues, we will now recognize our citizen soldiers and their supporters. With the command team of the 1st Battalion of the 188th Air Defense Artillery, Major Alan Rourke and Sergeant Major Russ Garrett, please come forward to render comments.
Good afternoon. So before I kick it over to Command Sergeant Major Garrett, because I always like to let my senior enlisted speak before me, so he can take all the things I have to say. I would just like to say good afternoon to Governor Burgum, Senator Hoeven, Senator Kramer, General Dorman. Command Sergeant Major Benstock, I know Chief Dorneman's out in the crowd, General Erickson, and just say I'm humbled and honored to truly be here. You know, standing here and addressing this large of a crowd, and I think it probably rivals the crowd that we had at our send-off. It does make this very, very monumental for me. So I will hold my comments because I'd really like Sergeant Major to steal them all. So Sergeant Major Garrett, please, the floor is yours.
That's a lot of people. Good afternoon, gentlemen, Sir Major. It's good to see you here, General Erickson, Chief Dorneman. It's especially good to see all the families, all the soldiers here. I said it a number of times over the last couple of days. You know, we broke away from the DC mission, went down to Fort Bliss, and got through all of that. And I ended up having to leave on that last day. And a lot of you guys know that my dad ended up in the hospital. So I didn't get that chance at the very end to say something to you guys. So I just want to make sure I say thank you up front. And I do have a couple of things written down here. It's actually not this whole book. It's just a couple pages of it. I know Major Rourke's going to talk a little bit about a lot of the accomplishments our soldiers did. There's going to be some numbers and some actual and all the events. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the quality we as North Dakota soldiers bring to any mission, especially this one. From the first day, every soldier could see the condition of the work sites and the equipment and all the places that we would normally go. Some of it hadn't been maintained since we were there last. Some of it was probably due to COVID. Right off the bat, in typical North Dakota fashion, we got to work improving those sites, fixing everything, getting new stuff ordered, getting the ability to turn stuff in and lighten our load a little bit everywhere we were at. I've got to throw a couple of names out there. You got Josh Peterson and Chief Arlene down at the motor pool, knocking it out with their team, you know, getting everything cleared away, getting things back organized again. And, you know, my hat's off to you guys for all the work that you did, and then you continued on, you know, in short order throughout that mission. You got Doug Egan and Connor Wilprecht and their teams going out and assessing damages to sites and then going out there and fixing them. And man, that was just, that was a sight to behold from what things looked like before and right when we got there to after they'd gone there and fixed a bunch of things. All of our shooter battery crews, and especially Brooks' crew doing it first was mastering that new brief and then knocking it out of the park the entire time we were there. It was a lot of work. It was very difficult for some of you to do, being that you already knew the old brief, and so, my hat's off to you guys for that. Chief Walsh, Captain Groniger, Gage Nelson, Adrena Gable, they were and all of their crews and teams were the people that kept those communications running, and they were such an outstanding group of people to work with for us. They helped their first sergeant be able to, run seamlessly for everything that they did. And also to Specialist Eldridge, I didn't see him here, but he was finally able to get a decent haircut there right at the end. Nice job, man. Nice job. Fact is, almost every soldier received a coin. In fact, we're just down to one, and he's up here, and I won't forget him. Every soldier received a coin for excellence, and it's true excellence, the things that they did while we were out there. And it was because of all of their accomplishments during this mission. We had a lot of individual accomplishments. We had a lot of schools and things like that. Before we deployed, I talked about providing opportunities to soldiers during this deployment. We developed, and by we I mean, Dan Strelo, Garrett Benningen, Andrew Carlson, assisted in putting together a very, very robust schools program to educate our soldiers and to make things happen so that, while we're out there, you're not sitting stagnant in the background. And so, my appreciation goes out to them. Dan Strelo's not here right now. He's still out in the NSAR doing the job. And all of the battery staffs, especially battery staffs and then our own staff at the battalion, knocking this stuff out. They didn't let up the entire time we were there, and it almost seemed like a passion every day for them to go to work. There were schools opportunities that I always knew about, but then there were some of the coolest opportunities that they actually came from soldiers that came to me with an idea. Sometimes I'd never even heard of it, like the Norwegian Foot March. That was something that a lot of you guys got to take part in. Heck, Ray Rochelle, he actually went out and found one on his own. This guy is always just getting after it. And that's 18.6 mile road march, and I didn't exactly know how to go about it, but then you stick a guy like Cobb on it, and next thing you know, we're doing that at the battalion level, and we're able to involve a lot of other people, to include some of the airmen. And then you had Specialist Staff Key hitting me up and asking me if I'd heard this DECM course, and kind of lost my place here, but it's the Delayed Evacuation Casualty Management course for medics. And then I was found a place for him to do it, and then he went out there and knocked that out, and then he's out there doing some training with the unit that he stayed with right now. And that's all because soldiers, they want to, they want our soldiers in the ADA want to improve themselves. They want to do the good things that we can do as soldiers. I had two of the best first sergeants on a deployment that I've ever had, with Dave Sari and Levi Jensen and all of their platoon sergeants. They made my life so much easier for the entire mission. And we had our stripes that we had to get through, not between me and you guys, but all the things that happened during a deployment with so many soldiers going so many different ways all the time. Their experience helped to guide me in my decisions and in my advisory role to the commander. The volunteerism effort that we did was a heck of a big undertaking, and we were extremely lucky to have Chaplain Fenger and Jake Kipp and Mackenzie Kipp all along on this mission as well. That whole thing may not have happened if it hadn't been just to having those three people, and so I definitely appreciate all the work that they've done, and so does the commander. When a battalion deploys, the battalion commander and the sergeant major kind of get a lot of the credit. We stand up here and we get to talk and get a lot of handshakes and stuff like that. And we kind of get that credit for some of the successes of the battalion, but I really just wanted to take some time here, drop some names, and encourage you to ask your soldier, your loved one, what they did out there, and really have a good conversation with it. Every single one of those soldiers received a coin for excellence. Ask them why they got it, because every single one of our soldiers is excellent. To the state leadership, I appreciate the opportunity that I've had here in this battalion and the ability to be a command sergeant major here. Major Rorick, appreciate everything that we've done together. I may never serve with finer soldiers. Thank you.
Well, it's good. I get long-winded, so I lost a lot of content here. Honestly, I'm going to repeat a few things because I do believe it merits mentioning twice. But first and foremost, I do truly appreciate all the words about the battalion, and just for the soldiers out there, know that when our congressional delegates or governor, tags, SEL are talking up here, that's directed at you. It truly is. As Marcus, our guest speaker, spoke, and he talked about, no man is an island, right? It's the same concept in my world, in Sergeant Major's world. This mission doesn't happen without you. So thank you for everything. But I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention. I want to say thanks, starting off with gratitude and ending with gratitude. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all the wives, husbands, daughters, sons, aunts, uncles, employers, and friends of our 225 soldiers that came along on this mission, because I know it wasn't easy back here. Somebody had to pick up the slack at home. Somebody had to pick up the slack at work, and thank you for loaning them to me for the last, for the 365-day mobilization, which turned out to be about close to that 14-month mark with train up. So thank you for that. Me and Command Sergeant Major Garrett really did have a privilege to lead each and every one of you on this mobilization for the soldiers of the 1st of the 188th ADA. And it's easy to brag about you. I used to talk with our two task force commanders, Colonel Walker and Colonel Ratliff, and that was one of the themes and messages I always had for them was, this group is easy to brag about. Because the things that you do day in and day out, they don't see that all the time out in the NCR region, and heck, even just in the military in general, you just don't always see that. So thank you. To my I guess command team, for General Dorman, General Erickson, and Colonel Helton, I do want to say thank you for taking a shot in a small town Strasburg kid, where Strasburg math isn't always the greatest, but you gave me a chance to step up and take this battalion, and I hope I didn't steer you in the wrong direction, and just know that I will continue to do my best to take care of the soldiers of this battalion for as long as you'll have me. I want to say thank you to our FRG and our outstanding volunteer program. 4,000 hours of volunteerism. I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years that we would have hit that mark. And sir, the gentleman that was telling you about North Dakota State College of Science was actually our leader in volunteer hours, over 300 hours. So thank you, Sergeant Morrell. And honestly, there was over 100 volunteers in just multiple areas. So thank you. And to Kim Strom, I know you are my counterpart as the honorary commander. I did want to say thank you for coming out when our congressional delegation hosted us out in the National Capital Region. It was a great event, and the soldiers were very excited about it, and I heard nothing but good stuff about that event, so thank you. To my wife, Steph, thanks for loaning me to the Army one more time. And if you don't know, it's my wife's birthday today, so happy birthday, dear. The support I get allows me to do my best for each and every one of you, and I hope you got that got that from me. Sergeant Major Garrett, I can't again, my right hand. I couldn't ask for a better Command Sergeant Major on this mission. We had a lot of goals. I had some lofty ones, but he never ceased to amaze me. And if he asked from the first sergeants, if I asked the battery commanders, the platoon sergeants, platoon leaders, all the way down to the soldiers in the fight, we always met the mission. And it's a direct reflection of each and every single one of you. All right, so there's my initial gratitude, and we'll circle back and hit the rest of it. All right, so if we take a step back into the Wayback Machine for everybody that is here to hear about what the ADA did on this mission. May of 2021, we were sitting out at Exercise America's Shield at Camp Grafton Training Center, North Dakota. And one of the first things that I realized as we started going through this train up is this is an excellent bunch of soldiers. With the 263rd AA MDC coming out to certify us, one of the first things they said is, you guys are going to be certified way faster than the last few groups. And you know what? That happened. Why? Because excellence, right? So we got through our Exercise America Shield, we certified. Had roughly about a little greater than a week off, and we were right back here in Grand Forks, North Dakota. 3rd of June, you know, with we did a send-off event and took off to Texas. While we were down doing our training, again, excellence. I think we set some testing scores and broke some records that I don't think are going to ever be touched. And again, we certified early. And that's a testament to each and every one of you. Didn't matter if if we were training up from our shooter battalion or our MDP. Didn't matter if it was the maintenance crews going out, or camo. Everybody from top to bottom excelled. And it was, I can unequivocally say without a doubt that each and every one of you had a major part in that. So it was really a quick trip to Texas. We got out to the National Capital Region. Quick right seat, left seat ride, and we took over the mission. From day one, it was a little bit of an uphill climb because the mission was coming out of the pandemic, and some things have been neglected, right? And so we, in true North Dakota spirit, stepped in and said, we're going back to business as usual, keeping in line with what the commanders were asking us to do, and we got there. General Dorman talked about passing 3 inspections. Hadn't been done in a few years, and lo and behold, we did it, we passed them, success, and it's each and every one of you. Sergeant Major mentioned the maintenance. Maintenance was backlogged, needed to get fixed, got fixed, 90 days, back on track, testament to the maintenance. My camo folks, I can't tell you how many good things I heard about some of the initiatives and just working across the enterprise from the 10 different areas we worked across 3 states, figuring out things that have never been figured out before, just because we took the time and had a little curiosity, right? And that's a testament to you. And you think about it, this battalion, I couldn't script it any better, is we were sitting out in the National Capital Region on the 20th year anniversary of 9/11. And that was a pretty powerful thing for me and Sergeant Major, and I know it was powerful for our soldiers as we went about our day-to-day, knowing that we were there, to protect the skies over the NCR. And it was a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic environment for me and for everybody involved. So as a calendar hit 20 years, we do what we always do, and we do the mission and we do it well. This was our 3rd rotation out to the National Capital Region since 2013, and I will tell you that you'd think by the time we get back there again it'd all be figured out, and to some extent it is, but always something to improve, always. There was some of our guiding doctrine and principles that we go through out there. I can't tell you how many hours of MDMP that is sometimes a not nice word in the Army, but the staff went through it and they improved and updated our doctrine. We never had a deployed mission essential task list for this mission. We may by the next time we went back because we wrote the draft of it. Every time I turned a corner, there was a soldier in this battalion doing something just unique or something that was going to make it better. We improved some of our sites out there, that we have in several of the areas that are. It's not just a wake up and we're going to do it. It is months of planning, and every time we did it, it went off without a hitch. And that's thanks to that individual unit leadership and the individual soldiers down to the unit level. So thank you for that. And most importantly, we provided 24/7, 365 day, and I can say 365 day because we spent 365 days on ground coverage of the NCR mission without ever missing a mission requirement. And it wasn't easy from time to time where we needed to figure out some mission assurance. We had a soldier step up and support our task force when they were down a key position. And one of my battery commanders shuffled the deck and was able to find me a body, and we were able to fill that hole until our task force transitioned over. And so I thank you for always looking for ways to improve the mission and always being just true North Dakota soldiers. I know, we talk, and I think for those that probably went on their first mobilization, it didn't seem like it was crazy long. When you start talking about the days, I know for the families back home, it probably seemed like it was an eternity. But thank you for being patient, and thank you for waiting for us to come home. Because the fact is when we went through that transition, for those who've been on a normal mobilization cycle, it was easy to just start thinking like, well, it's time to go home now, and it wasn't, and we still had some time to go. And so it's not always rosy in the Army, but on days like that, I just watched the focus refocus, and again, everybody put in the work, and it was a mission well done. One of the things when we left, I remember, was a challenge. You go out there, knock it out of the park, do the mission well, and come home. And I can say 100% that each and every one of you in this crowd has done that, and I'm proud to say welcome home and first to fire. Job well done. All right, now for the fun part. So, I just want to say that when we understand that we had 114 soldiers that were on their first mobilization. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to run through all of our soldiers. And gentlemen, I would like our soldiers to come up on the stage and shake hands and greet you. And so let's start with our first-time deployers. So 114 soldiers mobilized for the first time. So I would ask the first-time deployers to come on up to the stage. We're going to walk across the stage, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to read your names off. Don't worry about it, just come on up. So Specialist Heather Alexander, Captain Joshua Bonnick, Specialist Quentin Bennigan, Sergeant Caleb Berg, Sergeant Gage Beal, Specialist Austin Bonnet, Specialist Colby Bozer, Specialist Ty Boucher, Specialist Spencer Brisky, Sergeant Kevin Brooks, Sergeant Joseph Bruce, Specialist Jacob Boydie, Specialist Cal Carnell, Specialist Mark Chilson, Specialist Louise Cruz Laquiz, Specialist Evan Curran, Sergeant Max Dahl, Specialist Ian Donners, Specialist Austin Dahman, Specialist Jackson Davis, Specialist Mark DeCant, Specialist Cody Decoto, Sergeant Gerodo Delagadillo. I'm sorry about this, Desiree, if I butcher it, but Sergeant Desiree. Specialist Dylan Dominguez, First Lieutenant Jacob Eberly, Specialist Nathan Eldridge, Staff Sergeant Amanda Erdman, Major Justin Fanger, Specialist Dylan Fisher, Sergeant Peyton Forsch, Specialist John Freund, Sergeant Ryan Gendron, Sergeant Jonathan Gorowski, Specialist Frank Gord, First Lieutenant Caitlin Gura, Sergeant Levi Guthmiller, Specialist Tristan Haugen, Specialist Jarrell Hansen, Specialist Yasmin Hassan, Specialist Lexi, that one's not supposed to be in there, Specialist Nathan Hollenhead, Sergeant Emma Hoover, Specialist Caleb Horn, Sergeant Andrew Huber, Specialist Gordon Isler. Page 2. Staff Sergeant Michael Iverson, Staff Sergeant Michael Janks, Sergeant Cody Yoakum, First Lieutenant Joshua Peter Johnson, Specialist Pierce Johnson, Specialist Alexander Jones, Specialist Good Hope Kawa, Staff Sergeant Tech Kadiwoda, Sergeant Connor King, First Lieutenant Jacob Kipp, Specialist Brett Clefstead, Specialist Timothy Knutson, Staff Sergeant Dane Kruger, Staff Sergeant Samantha Lattisaw, Sergeant Kyle Lennon, Specialist Stephanie Levesque, Specialist Tyler Linneman, Staff Sergeant Matt Llewellyn, Specialist Theodore Matt, Sergeant Alexander Maple, Specialist Ethan McCullum, Sergeant Marshall McCarg, Specialist Jonathan McKeever, Sergeant Ethan Misek, Staff Sergeant Ashley Monreal, Specialist Daniel Munson, Specialist James Munson, Specialist Austin Miogetto, Specialist Michael Napanoa, Sergeant Taylor Nelson, Specialist Zachary Nicholas, Sergeant Tally Norby, Sergeant Joseph Parsons, Specialist Benjamin Pisek, Sergeant Brian Phillips, Sergeant Christy Ratty, Sergeant Brittany Reagan, Specialist Praytrap Rye, Specialist Ethan Rebels, Staff Sergeant Brett Ruff, Sergeant Zach Salmon, Sergeant Scott Sandin, Specialist Madison Schlager, Specialist Ben Schaldice, Specialist Riley Schultz, Specialist Jack Schwartz, and Specialist Megan Schwartz. I need to read faster, it would appear. All right, so thank you for the first-time deployers. All right, so I'm sorry, there was a whole another page of those. I would be remiss if I didn't at least say the names. Specialist Small Fry, Specialist Spivey, Specialist Staffkey, Specialist Stevens, Specialist Sumbas, Sergeant Symington, Specialist Thompson, Sergeant Thompson, Specialist Torneau, Sergeant Tuya, Sergeant Vanette, Sergeant Vetter, First Lieutenant Voigt, Sergeant Wade, PFC Walker, Specialist Went, Sergeant Wibbles, First Lieutenant Wiechek, Specialist Widmer, and Specialist Willenbring. All right, the next lists are much shorter. Thank you. All right, so for my second list of deployers, if you could come on up here. We got Sergeant First Class Scott Becknell, Sergeant First Class Lucinda Boyard, Staff Sergeant Sean Brecky, Captain Cody Brecken, Sergeant Stephen Brooks, Sergeant Colin Brumskill, Specialist Kelly Carty, Sergeant Jonathan Collins, Sergeant Taylor Dwyer, Staff Sergeant Garrett Engelke, Captain Eliud Feliciano, Staff Sergeant Adrena Gable, Specialist Hunter Gable, First Lieutenant Daniel Geiger, Specialist Christopher Gibson, Staff Sergeant Zachary Governale, Captain Andrew Groninger, Staff Sergeant Chad Hansen, Sergeant Justin Heath, Sergeant First Class Dan Hilsendigger, Sergeant First Class Wilmer Honeyman, Staff Sergeant Sean Jurdy, Captain Nicholas Kindlespire, Staff Sergeant Mackenzie Kipp, Sergeant Alec Kuntz, Sergeant Christopher Lappy, Specialist Joshua Legg, Staff Sergeant Nathan Linus, Sergeant Taylor Markle, Specialist Andrew Maxwell, Specialist Landon McDowell, Corporal Daniel Myers, Staff Sergeant Autumn Nelson Hartoon, Sergeant First Class Gage Nelson, Sergeant Jordan Olson, Staff Sergeant Jordan Osowski, Sergeant Billy Payne, Sergeant First Class Jonathan Qualley, Staff Sergeant William Sample, Staff Sergeant Brad Shamba, Sergeant Alu Singate, Sergeant First Class Charles Vadava, and Sergeant Terrence Wiest. Got that one timed right. Excellent. All right. And for our third-time deployers, if you'd come on up here, Sergeant Isaac Adams, CW4 Shane Arlene, Captain Robert Alt, Staff Sergeant Garrett Bennigan, Specialist Nicholas Brazil, Sergeant Aaron Brooks, Staff Sergeant Alexander Bryson, Staff Sergeant Andrew Carlson, Captain AJ Christensen, Captain Joshua Dunkley, Staff Sergeant Tyler Fixon, Sergeant Kyle Gaston, Specialist Dan Gonzalez, Captain Adam Garecki, Sergeant Corey Hansen, Staff Sergeant Andrew Hoger, CW2 Leo Hughes, Major Mitchell Johnson, Sergeant Jonathan Jones, Sergeant Adam Linus, Sergeant Andrew Mark, Sergeant Justin Moreau, Sergeant Dalton Morell, Staff Sergeant Dustin Fifley, myself, Sergeant Raymond Rochelle, Specialist Dalton Sievertson, Captain Eric Stocky, Captain John Storsved, Staff Sergeant Derek Stratman, Captain Tanner Sundet, Sergeant First Class Aaron Vanette, Sergeant Connor Wilprecht, and Staff Sergeant Janelle Zorn. All right, we're getting down there now. For them fourth-time deployers, come on up. Sergeant First Class Eric Bender, Staff Sergeant Remy Brook, Sergeant Gregory Dahl, Sergeant Douglas Egan, Sergeant First Class George Elizondo, Staff Sergeant Willie Flowers, Staff Sergeant Anthony Gallegos, Sergeant Brandon Hedela, First Sergeant Levi Jensen, Sergeant Andrew Kuhn, First Lieutenant Tyler Larson, Staff Sergeant Cody Mauk, Sergeant Joseph Peterman, Sergeant First Class Joshua Peterson, Staff Sergeant Michael Fanuff, Sergeant Aaron Pitcher, Sergeant First Class Christopher Smallbeck, Staff Sergeant Ryan Spicer, Staff Sergeant Tyler Yarico, and Sergeant First Class Tyler Wolf. Round of applause. All right, and those in the five-timer club. Sergeant First Class Eric Anderson, Staff Sergeant Matthew Cobb, Sergeant Jeff Dozier, Staff Sergeant Scott Douglas, First Sergeant Shannon Klininsky, Staff Sergeant Jonathan Parnell, First Lieutenant Joshua Roller, First Sergeant David Sari, CW3 William Walsh, Sergeant First Class Dan Wieland, and Sergeant Major Dan Strelo. All right. For those that are on their sixth rotation, we have three. The guy behind me, Command Sergeant Major Russ Garrett, Staff Sergeant Christopher McNeely, and CW2 Kenneth Schaub. So we don't have any seven-time deployers, but we do have one who's currently serving on his eighth. And he was a passback with the two of the 263rd ADA out of South Carolina, and that's Staff Sergeant Wade Russell. I know he's doing great things out there, but a round of applause for Wade Russell. All right. I really do appreciate you taking the time and letting me introduce and shake the hands of all these soldiers, because again, they make my job easy, they make Command Sergeant Major Garrett's job easy, so thank you for everything you did for me, and I hope I led you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Major Rorick. Please be seated, gentlemen. When soldiers are mobilized, we know and understand that the mission that we perform. While away from home, our physical needs are met, we have food to eat, and generally a roof over our heads. But as we all know, and has been referred to a couple times throughout the course of this ceremony, the mission at home does not stop either. Our families must go on with their numerous day-to-day activities, such as keeping up the home, mowing the lawn, shoveling the walkways, preparing meals, getting kids to sports practices, church meetings, or music lessons. There are vehicles that need servicing, bills to be paid, and groceries to be purchased. The list of important tasks that keep a family and a home running is endless. At this time, once again, will all family members please rise? Soldiers and guests, please join me in recognizing our families for their sacrifice and hard work before, during, and after the mobilization. The sacrifice of deploying soldiers is also felt in the community and businesses who share in a service to a country. Would the employers and community members in attendance please rise to be recognized? Small businesses rely on each and every one of their employees to stay afloat. We understand the absence of an employee affects numerous things in your respective businesses. Please join me in a round of applause for all our employers and community members that support our soldiers. Thank you for your support to our nation's soldiers. Finally, behind this mobilization there stands a group who continually goes out of their way to lift the morale of our soldiers before, during, and after the mobilization. We'd like to take this opportunity to publicly recognize them for their outstanding support. Please give a warm round of applause to the 1st Battalion, 188th Air Defense Artillery Regiment's Soldier and Family Readiness Group. This group is led by the following chartered Soldier and Family Readiness Group volunteers. For those present, when your name is called, please stand to be recognized. Lead, Josie Stocky. Secretary, Brianna Sundet. Treasurer, Sarah Kuhn. Communication Coordinator, Kelsey Munson. And the Activities Coordinator, Ashley Shamba. Thank you. We appreciate everything that you did. On behalf of the soldiers of the 1st Battalion of the 188th Air Defense Artillery Regiment, we'd like to request Governor Burgum and Major General Dorman come forward as Major Rourke and Command Sergeant Major Garrett signify the completion of this rotation and present the North Dakota state flag that accompanied the unit during their mission. Major Rourke and Command Sergeant Major will also return the United States flag presented to them by our congressional delegation prior to their departure last year. Thank you, gentlemen. Please be seated. As we bring this event to a close, I would like to thank each of you for your service to our country, whether as a soldier, family member, employer, veteran, friend, or all of the above. At this time, Chaplain Fenger will come forward to give the benediction. Following the benediction, please remain standing for the playing of the Army song and the exiting of the official party. The words to the Army song are found in your program. Please sing along.
I got about 5 minutes of managing 2 little girls and I already missed my cue, so kudos once again to spouses out there. So a little prayer from my daily devotion. That Lord, you journey with me wherever I go. Forgive me for trying to chart my own course. The right time, the right directions are known only to you. Instead of worrying about where I'm going, help me focus on what I can create, what I can develop, what I can build up, and when I can roll out. In all things, Let's give thanksgiving that mark good living. Amen.
This concludes today's ceremony. I would like to thank our distinguished guests, families, friends, employers, the 188th Army Band, and the University of North Dakota for making this a memorable welcome home for our soldiers. Thank you all for coming. God bless and drive safe.